Houston, you're a go for landing, over.
The exploration of space will go ahead, whether we join in it or not.
We have been given the scientific knowledge, the technical ability, and the materials to pursue the exploration of the universe.
We are the dreamers, the limit pushers, the explorers, the ones who see things differently. As commercial space exploration evolves, Stellar Access welcomes each partnership, elevating every space enthusiast to reach for the stars and igniting the industry's forward thinkers, desiring to grasp a piece of the universe. We empower our suppliers and providers, backed with over 40 years of solutions, to journey beyond the bounds of Earth, propelling their brand, making space available for you. This is just the beginning.
Hi everyone, welcome to this episode of our Stellar Access webinar series. We are very excited to have you here. Some of you may have joined before for our previous webinars, where we have been explaining a little bit about what we're doing at Stellar Access. And we are very excited to have you here today because we're going to tell you and speak about and explain a little bit more about one of our stellar products at Stellar Access. We are very excited to be launching this product very soon, and we really think that commercial space is really lacking this new feature that we are offering. So we hope you get really excited with us about this, and we hope that you really enjoy the chat today. So with no further ado, I'm going to introduce you to our speaker for today, who is a very important member of the team. He is our solutions architect at Stellar Access. His name is Devin Vane. I'm sorry, Devin. And he's here to really talk to you about this solution that he has been working on very hard. And of course, some of you may know him. He's a very experienced professional in the space sector. Devin, welcome. Thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for having me, and thank you to everyone who's joined. I'm really excited to bring you this information about our new app that we'll be releasing later this year, and we're going to talk through a lot of that here soon. To introduce myself, I'll let you know that my name is Devin Vine, and I've been working in the aerospace industry out of Johnson Space Center for about the last decade now. And a couple of years ago, I had an opportunity to join with Stellar Access, which is the first company that's making space specifically for you. And so it's been a very exciting transition, and I'm enjoying all the different things that we're working on, and I'm really excited to share them with you today. So thanks for joining. And with that, we have a few slides that I'll bring up and we can talk through, and then we're going to have also a question and answer session and some interactive polls. So today we're going to be talking about our newest offering called Certified Stellar, where we're fusing the evidence and the experience of spaceflight. Why have we created this? There is a current need in the industry because spaceflight providers do not currently have a way to certify all of the objects that have been in space. For those of you that work in the industry, you may be familiar with space certification, meaning hardware that has been certified as ready to go to space. But what we don't have is a detailed list available to the public of all the items that have been in space and what flights they were involved in. Now, as commercial space is expanding, cargo owners, space tourists, and researchers frequently request shareable proof that their items have been in space. So we now have private astronauts who are traveling to space, and when they come back, they want to be able to share with their family and friends and their loved ones all of the items that they may have taken with them to be able to bring back and give a special gift that says, this went to space with me and now I'm giving it to you. But how can we prove that? In addition, as the commercial space sector and exploration and adventure in space is increasing, this need is increasing as well. So we at Stellar Access have created the technology to link those physical items to enhance digital records of space flights and also the items that were on board those flights. So knowing the need, you may be asking, how are we going to solve it? And I'm going to tell you now what we've put together as a solution for this problem or this need. If I can get over to the next slide, and there we are. So what is Certified Stellar? Well, we have created a proprietary technology that allows us to tag items that are going to space. We have currently 2 versions of this tag. One, which is a holographic sticker that can be applied to the item, and another, which is sort of like a small luggage tag. Within those, we use technology so that we can create a digital fingerprint for any item. After the space flight has occurred, those items will still have the tag associated with them, and anyone can scan the item to see its history of spaceflight. So, linking the physical item through this Stellar Tag technology, we contain all the information in our digital certification system, which holds a permanent record of your unique spaceflight and the certified items that were involved. But we want to take it further than just a database of information. For one thing, there's already databases of all the space flights that have happened, but what we don't have is that additional link available to the public about what all was on those flights. You can purchase space memorabilia that, maybe an item that an astronaut took during an Apollo mission, but there are thousands, hundreds of thousands of items flying to space on a regular basis now. And the public isn't always able to connect with and be informed about what those items are. And that's part of what we're trying to deliver here. We also want you to be involved in telling the story of either your own spaceflight adventure or the items that you flew to space. So we're allowing through this platform you to upload images, social media posts, and other multimedia, and also for the spaceflight providers to upload images as well, where then our system will create an automatically curated multimedia package that we call Relive the Flight. You can use this package to go back and revisit at any time and to share with friends and family all of the steps that went into getting your item into space. So with all of that, how exactly do we certify that these items have been in space? Well, we start by providing our own independent review of all of the data. And that data may be written documentation, such as signed letters from spaceflight provider managers and government agencies, as well as imagery before, during, and after the flight. So we want to see pictures of the team that was putting together the payload for research in space before the payload launches. You have your picture there with the science experiment and the stellar tag attached, then hopefully images while it's in space and on orbit as well, and after it's returned, creating a timeline and a digital history of its travel to space. We'll also review and utilize, when possible, any physical evidence that's available. And we're currently working with spaceflight providers who provide commercial access to space. So these are companies like SpaceX, Axiom, Blue Origin, Virgin Galactic. We're working with them to be able to keep sensor data and flight data about those commercial flights so that we can give additional details about exactly where the objects went or where the people went during their space tourism adventure. So Now that I've told you about what Certified Stellar is and how we certify items, we want to turn it back to you all who are online to ask some questions in the chat, and we'll do the best we can to provide an answer. And then we're also going to have an interactive poll because we really want to hear what you're interested in so far.
Okay, so make sure that you answer our poll. It's very important for us to hear what you have to say. On top of your questions, we would like to learn about these specific questions that we have for you as well. Devin, here's a question from Roger. He says, who is your target market? Individual space enthusiasts or private companies wanting to commercialize a particular product that has flown? Other audiences? That's a very interesting question.
Yeah, definitely a great question. So what we want to do is actually make this platform available to all of those different personas. Not only can individuals use items that they've previously had flown in space or that they're planning to have fly in space, we will work to have a price point that's available for the individual consumer to be an owner of spaceflight items and to be a part of the Certified Stellar portal containing all of these records. The records themselves at a high level will be available to anyone from the public. So much like anyone can go to Google and search terms, we're going to make it possible that anyone can go and search to learn more about items that have been in space. But beyond that, we also do want to be directly involved with spaceflight providers, such as Axiom, Northrop Grumman, etc., to allow them to offer our stellar tags and our certification process as a selling point to enhance what they're offering to their customers, who currently are the folks who are affluent enough to afford a personal trip to space. But part of Stellar Access's mission overall is to drive down that market price and make access to space available to the common person. So we will be involved with those companies as a way of stimulating the economy of commercial space and making access to space available for everyone. So we want to target not only individual consumers, also academic institutions who would like to have their scientific research in space. We know that currently one of the best things that we're getting out of the United States spaceflight program is real science and medical research that's coming back from microgravity and then allowing for improvements on Earth. And we want to also facilitate more universities, more research institutions to be able to send their items to space and preserve that digital record of the space flight. So hopefully that helps.
That's very exciting because flying things to space and tracking them is also about like writing the history of space exploration. I mean, it's going to be very interesting to know which items have been there, which new items we can bring to space. We have another question from Anna, and she wants to know, will you be researching and then providing data to customers on the value of an item in dollars after it has flown into space?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's absolutely one of the areas that we've seen a lot of interest from what we would call non-traditional participants in the space market. So if we think of traditional participants, those are your government agencies and the big companies who are now expanding into space. But we also see for small businesses, even large businesses, that space flight can be used as a way to enhance their brand image and to imbue a sort of intrinsic additional value in items. Because once an item has been to space, there's something more special about it than items that are on Earth. So we have, over the course of the last couple of years as Stellar Access, conducted a number of market research studies And we're constantly interfacing with different companies to be able to explain to them what value our services can add. So we do think that one of the outcomes of this platform could be a marketplace for trading and collecting space-flown items, and also for brands to promote their items.
That's also a very exciting view of how this tool could work. We have another question from Roger, and he wants to know if we will have any tie with NASA astronauts' personal preference kits, and will any of their items be included in the database, or in other words, would NASA be a viable potential customer of Stellar's for this service?
Absolutely. So, you know, over the last 40 years, we've been very closely involved with NASA. And in my personal experience, very closely involved with NASA. Stellar Access is also taking a step to break away from just the traditional model of government entities kind of gatekeeping the space, the outer space. But of course, we know that right now, NASA is still flying the most astronauts, has the most presence in outer space, and the public agency that NASA serves is for the public good. And so from that standpoint, we absolutely want to continue to work with NASA as a potential customer for these services that we're offering. Whether or not we will have direct interface with their traditional government requirements and processes, that's something that we'll have to continue to work through. But we will make available the options that we're providing here also to NASA and other space agencies as well. We're currently in talks with the Italian Trade Agency and their involvement with their National Space Agency to provide information about these services also.
Okay, we have two very exciting questions right now. I'm gonna go to Liam's question, and then we can save Benjamin's question for the end. Because I think this one is very interesting. Liam wants to know, well, he says that his company has a payload on SPX 30, and it's very interesting to hear about this service, and that they will be having a launch experience soon, and he wants to know if we are able to collect the launch experience assets now.
Absolutely. So first of all, congratulations on your payload that's going on SpaceX 30. I know how much work goes into getting something on a space flight. We're hoping to also help facilitate those processes. But what you described about having a launch event, that's also something that we're super excited about. So we would love to connect afterward and work with you to start collecting that data, start building that digital package, and then be ready to feed it into the certified Stellar system as we go live with the app here shortly, and have you be one of the first that has your information in the platform. So I love it. Congrats on getting your item on flight, and we definitely want to connect with you about that. We're ready today to start gathering that information. Nice. And did we have another question before we go back? Or are we going to save that for the end, you said, Anna? Okay, we'll save that for the tail end. Well, thank you all so much for those questions. And I really like the responses to the poll here. From what I can see, a high percentage of people are really interested in stories of spaceflight and exploration. And that resonates with us as well. That's a large part of what we want to do with Stellar Access, is make it a little bit less about just the data and a little bit more about the people who are involved, and the stories of the space exploration. So thank you for responding there, and we'll have a couple of more interactive polls in a moment. And with that, I'll go and tell you a little bit more here about the way that we're packaging these services. So we're currently offering 3 options. We have the Simply Certified, which is the base level certification. Now that will include our independent review of all of your spaceflight data and attachment of the stellar tag to your items that are going to space, and a listing on our database or the Certified Stellar portal containing the information of your items and the flights that they went on. With the second tier package of Certified Plus, we're taking that certification a step further. So this is where we'll enhance simply the data that describes the events that took place and turn it more into an interactive record of that certification. So this would include the relive the flight, the story of your flight experience through curated multimedia package, interactivity within the premium features of the digital platform, including information about upcoming flights and opportunities, as well as a enhanced or spot highlighted listing of your items. So beyond just the basic listing on the platform, but something that really makes your item and your story stand out. Now, lastly, I'll tell you a little bit about the Infinity Bundle. And this is where we want to know more about what you want to do with space. We think that nothing is off limits here. We want to help with launch parties, with landing parties, potentially guiding your company or your personal experience through social media campaigns, as well as creating customized tokens and gifts and much more from the evidence of your spaceflight items. But we don't want to just stop with the ideas that we've had. We want to know what ideas you have about spaceflight and about telling the story of space exploration. And so that's where we're saying anything is possible. Let's talk and let's figure out how we can make your ideas come to life. So with that, I think we're going to turn back now, see if there are maybe a couple of more questions to answer, and also offer another poll or two to get your thoughts on a couple of other questions that we're really interested in hearing from you on. So did we have any more questions, Anna?
Yes, Devin. We are going back to Benjamin's question. Thank you very much, Benjamin, for your question. And he wants to know, as the numbers of PMAs increase going forward, what means or methods has Stellar Access come up with to approach or market to those heading to space in order to grow the certified stellar market? I think that's what this is all about, right, Devin?
Yeah, absolutely. But Benjamin then seems to be, thinking the way that we are as well. So, we're trying to get as much exposure as we can. We're obviously working through our professional channels and our connections to get those established relationships with spaceflight providers. And those spaceflight providers are the ones that are sending the PAMs, as Ben said. And for those of you who may not know, that's a private astronaut mission. So this is a non-traditional, sometimes we say a space tourist, someone who's currently flying on a commercial spaceflight mission, and oftentimes visiting the International Space Station, or at least spending some time in low Earth orbit, as we call it. But those entities are the ones who are setting up the the ability for individuals to travel to space. And so we've established those connections. We have good relationships with all of those big name spaceflight providers, and we've started to introduce these services to them as well. So we've met actively with Virgin Galactic and with Axiom about this particular offering. And seeing what their interest is in utilizing these services to enhance what they're providing to those private astronauts. And in addition to that, we're taking the other traditional methods, with more information that we're sharing on social media. As we go through the next couple of months leading up to our release, we'll be keeping our social media posts updated. We'll be sending out newsletters about the progress of the application. And, if this is something that you're interested in, then absolutely, we're happy for you to be a part of promoting the hype around this. So those are some of the things that we're currently working on to try and get more exposure and get those private astronauts involved from the ground level, as they're the ones who are currently traveling to space and taking items with them to space that they want to then have proof of when they return.
Thank you, Devin, for that answer. Of course, we are very much engaged with what's happening in space, so we can really put out this service for everyone and all of the companies that are bursting right now. We have another question from Jennifer, and she wants to know if you can give some examples of items you anticipate will be sent to space, and what considerations go into the items that are practical for this service.
Okay, great question. So I'll give a couple of examples. There is the one type that is through private astronauts. So recently we've talked with people who've come back from a Virgin Galactic flight, and they took items with them in their pockets, personal items, personal keepsakes, and they want to gift those to their family members often, or other loved ones, and be able to say, here's a part of my spaceflight journey that I want to give to you. But multiple have asked us, how can I prove to someone that this has been in space? And so that's one of the things that we're trying to solve here by creating a more robust digital record of all of the steps that led up to the spaceflight, and images and details and written stories of the experience to try and create more of that historical record. Beyond just those personal items, though, in practical application, there are regularly payloads and science experiments that are going to space specifically to get exposure to microgravity and to the unique radiation that is exposed outside of Earth's atmosphere. Those are also objects that we would like to work with universities and commercial entities to have become part of this database, and to help them provide their future proof of their involvement in the history of space exploration. And the third that I'll refer you to is actually where more individual consumers could get involved right now, which is with what we'd call spaceflight memorabilia. And these are items such as mission patches, astronaut handbooks, instructions, controls, things of that nature that have come back from spacecraft and spaceflight. And for those who are space enthusiasts who want to own a piece of that space history, that's the kind of thing that we want to keep a detailed record of and keep it in our database, and then allow people to own, to trade those items, and have the backing of our digital fingerprint. And I think, lastly, what I would say, and first I'll say, I'd love to hear ideas as well from those of you in the chat, like, what else could we do with this? But the last one that I'll mention here would be brand exposure. So there are currently a couple of examples of that have already happened. Coca-Cola famously had an advertisement that was shot in space. You probably all, or most all of you, have seen Tesla's ad where they had a Tesla vehicle inside of a SpaceX vehicle in space. But we're currently working with video game developers, with movie studios, and with others who are in non-traditional sectors as it relates to space, to see where there are opportunities to use space as a platform, as a means for advertisement, but also for unique creation. So we want to get involved with the arts and culture communities, and we want to crowdfund sending artist projects to space and then making those part of the certification record as well. And so there's a long list of ideas that we've had, but those are some of the main ones, and I think some of the ways that may be most applicable to someone who's not involved in the day-to-day space industry.
We have so many interesting insights, not only from the questions, but also from the polls. I mean, I think there should be an option to choose simultaneous answers at the same time, because we have many different interests in space, but we're having very interesting responses. We have another question from Liam, and you have already a little bit answered this, but he wants to know if, apart from the commercial aspect of this, if we are considering any partnership with non-profit organizations involved with spaceflight, like Higher Orbits, who launch regularly to the ISS, and including SpaceX 30. And he also says that he has a space phone item. I share that feeling with him. I also have a Mexican flag which has been to space, or at least that's what I think, because I don't have it certified yet. And he says that he would love to have an official record of that item.
Absolutely. So, great question. I will say that right now we're not involved with the specific or not-for-profit organization that you mentioned, but these kind of formats is why we're so excited about having you all join the webinar today, because that's another connection we can make. We absolutely want to be involved with nonprofits. I also mentioned with universities, which some of those partnerships we're already establishing. But we do want to do that as a key part of this. We understand that there has to be a two-prong approach. One, which is the commercialization of space to bring down the average price for the day-to-day consumer. And in order to enable that, we have to work with nonprofit agencies and government agencies to secure that type of public funding that allows us to send those people and those items to space that wouldn't have the monetary capability to pay the ticket for themselves. So I appreciate you bringing up that name, and that's definitely somebody that we want to follow up with, and I'll follow up with you, Liam, about that to see how we can get them involved in our network. I'm glad that you mentioned, having your own space-flown items. Many of us that work in the industry may have had the opportunity to collect an item or two over time. I personally have one, which is a patch that was flown on SpaceX 12, and I received it as a gift after the SpaceX 12 mission for the analysis contributions that I had made there. And it's exactly the kind of thing we're thinking of for our retro cert. So not only are we using the stellar tags to tag items before they go to space and be the link to the history of that item, but we are also accepting items that have already flown in space. And what we'll do with those is do the independent review of the data, collect the images and multimedia and signed documentation, manifest records when we can, orbital data when we can, and create that permanent record for you. So that is certainly one of the services that we're offering through this as well. And if you stick around to the end of this, I'm going to have an exciting announcement about when we'll be opening up the portal for those types of certifications, and the opportunity to get a free certification as well.
Exactly. We are very excited about the offerings that are coming here in our webinar. The rest of the comments right now are about other items that have been flown to space, like sea leather perfume, or JAXA, who flew noodle soup and they did a commercial shoot.
Right, yeah.
Or the Tesla Roadster, but that's very exciting because right now we can track the Roadster, which is in space, but with Certified Stellar, we can track many things that are in space, and we can see like their live flights and where are they, and so that's a very exciting view to have right now. So as Devin said, please stick around because we also want to show you the mock-up app that we've created, so you can really see yourself using this service, right, Devin?
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you all again for participating in the Q&A. I think maybe it looks like my camera's a little frozen, but maybe I'll come back here soon. In any case, I want to go back now that we've talked more about what kind of items we have and what kind of items you might want to make a part of this certification. We introduced the 3 different packages, and I won't go through all of this line by line right now, but I wanted to preview a little bit about the distinction between the packages and some of the features that you can expect at those different levels. So with the Simply Certified, as I mentioned, this will be a permanent listing within the database, items being tracked with the Stellar tags, or retroactively certified for those items that have been previously flown. And those will, of course, include our independent, third-party flight evidence review. So we do want to be that certification body that is removed from the direct commercial interest in the items that have flown, to be able to provide that independent review that says, yes, this item was flown on a SpaceX flight, and you may have a signed document from SpaceX saying it was flown. We have now also, as a third party, reviewed the item and the data that surrounds it. And now we can say, as an independent third party, that we also certify that it was in space. Certified Plus, though, goes beyond just the capture of that information, and also is where you get more interactivity, more multimedia, and more shareability and networking aspects, with the ability to bring others in to contribute to the multimedia that makes up the Relive the Flight package. And so that would be also including a promoted listing on the portal and additional details, including orbital data, interactive orbital simulations, and things of that nature that really take a simple listing of an item that is flown and enhance it and take it to the next level. And with the Infinity Bundle, this is where we'll do launch and landing events. We'll create customized gifts, customized packages coming out of those flight experiences. And we want to hear any other ideas you may have about what you'd like to do with the spaceflight experience. So with that, now that we've talked through what is Certified Stellar, had some great questions from the audience, and also looked a little bit about how we're packaging the offering and how we are breaking down those features into different parts of the offering. We wanted to show briefly on screen here our mock-up application. And, this is just a wireframe for those of you who are familiar. So it's a simulation of what the application will look like when we release it. And I'll start out by talking through it with you a little bit, and just go to my home page here. And you'll see that the home page offers you to look at items you already own that are certified, look at any in-progress certifications that you have ongoing, to browse all certified items, and this is that public portal and database that shows any items that have been certified, and then start a new certification. So if I go back up and look at my own certified items or your certified items, you'll see that each user will have an individual profile page showing you what items you own that have been certified and any in-progress certifications that are ongoing. And this is also where you can add additional media and evidence to continue enhancing the record of your spaceflight. And going back from there, I'll look also at the All Certified Items portal. And this is where you'll be able to, using keywords or an individual key number, which would come from our stellar tags, search up anything which may have been flown in the past and look through those records and explore and get more information about not only the items, but also the flight that they were on, when did the flight happen, how many miles did it travel, who was involved, see images of the teams who worked to get this thing together, and go from there. So this is a quick overview of what we're going to be releasing. And with that, I wanted to share that we will be going live. Excuse me, my chair just keeps slipping down. I'm going further and further down the camera here. But we'll be going live with our application in May of this year. The QR code that you see next to my face currently, this way, is something you can scan right now with your phone and sign up to be on our newsletter. And although newsletters are sometimes not the best thing to get in your inbox, our Stellar newsletter absolutely is. And we're going to be bringing you updates on the progress of Certified Stellar throughout the spring. And in April, we'll go into our pre-release period where we will allow users to start signing up and becoming a part of the platform leading up to the release. Everyone who's signed up will be available to be selected as one of 5 who, during our release party in May, will be selected to get 1 item certified free. So if you sign up this spring, as we're continuing to bring you information on our social media posts and through our newsletter, become a part of the Certified Stellar platform for free during our April pre-release timeframe, and you will be entered into the pool of folks who can be chosen as one of 5 to get a free certification during our launch party in May. So with that, I think we want to open it up and see if there are any more questions to be answered here, and then take additional conversations offline and look to connect with you all on social media as well. And here, take a chance to also thank you again for participating in this webinar.
Thank you, Devin. We do have another question from Roger, and he wants to know if the data in the portal will be publicly accessible or if there's going to be some confidential items if customer prefers that. Yes, great question. So by default, we want to keep the information such as when a flight took place and how far it may have traveled and what the items were that were certified at the level where we make sure that it's appropriately publicly cleared and can be shared with anyone, because we do want to make more of this information available. With that, as an individual owner of an item within the portal, you will have the option to hide any additional details that you choose to. There are a few pieces of information that we consider the foundation of what declares an item certified as having been in space. And those items will always be part of the publicly available record. But any additional items, such as science results that have come from the experiment, such as orbital data, images, if the owner of the item wants to restrict access to that, they can mark it not for public release, and they can share it to individuals who are also on the platform. Great question. Great. Thank you, Devin. So please make sure to look out for our link to sign up to the community, and then maybe winning some of these certifications for free when we launch officially this incredible tool. Thank you everyone for joining us today in our webinar. We have a webinar series going on. We've already learned about the steel. We've already learned about what stellar access is in general. And we have many other topics and interesting people in the industry coming in the next months. We are going to be learning about how to build a business in space very soon. So make sure to subscribe to our newsletter where you will find all the information that you need, not only about how to get involved with stellar access and these great tools that we are building for you and great opportunities, but also how to get involved with the space industry in general, how to become part of this community that we want to bring together and we want to build, and to bring a lot of opportunities to take space to our neighborhoods. Thank you everyone that joined us today, and subscribe to learn more about our webinar series and all the opportunities. Devin, thank you so much. You were a great speaker. I think everyone is as excited as I am, and all the Stellar Access team now is excited about this tool. So thank you very much for building this and for sharing it so clearly with all our public and our community.
Well, thank you. I'm so excited to be a part of this. I really appreciate everyone joining and also participating with great questions and the responses to our polls. I love to see, at that personal level, how is it that you connect with space? And so seeing those responses was something I'm really happy about. And also, I just want to say, if there are any questions or comments that were left in the chat that we didn't directly address, I'm definitely going to go back through afterwards, and I will follow up with you on LinkedIn to continue the conversation. So thanks so much for joining today.
Yes, thank you. And to Benjamin's comment on where to get our merch, look at this beautiful shirt that I'm wearing. We will definitely work on that as well. Yeah, that's very cool too, Devin. Thank you. Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you in a month.